I was all kind of, my learning disability. I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. And I cheated all through school, and I wanted to get in the military, wanted to join the Air Force, and the guy gave me an ASVAB test. It's like a watered down SAT. And I couldn't copy on it because the guy beside me had a test A, I had test B. The guy on my right had test C. So I looked to copy on this test and I couldn't copy on it, so I got like a 20. I could only take the ASVAB test 3 times. And I studied my ass off and passed it. And I got in the Air Force and realized there was more things in front of me. I was afraid of the water, terrified of the water. And I learned how to swim, but what gets everybody in this training, in all special ops training, is the water confidence, where they try to pretty much drown your ass. All of our lives we've been breathing, and they take that from you, and they want to see how comfortable you are underwater. And there's only 1% African Americans in special operations. And I didn't know anything about African, like a lot of them are negative buoyant, which I am, because of the bone density. I struggled. But this water was kicking my ass, and 6 weeks into the program, the doctor gave me a blood test. And realized I have sickle cell trait, not the anemia, but it still killed people. Me not wanting to go back in that water, the doctor called me back up. I thought I was going to get like a medical kick out of the military. So no quitting for me. They'll kick me out so I can have some pride. The doctor said, no, man, we could put you back in the training. And I was like, but after a week, I'm like, you know what? I missed 1 week. There's only 3 weeks left. There's a good chance, I could tough this shit out and go on. But I went back to the CO and the commanding officer of the program, and the sergeant said, hey, you got to start from day 1 because you missed, that week of training. And I broke. I couldn't imagine going back through that again. So from the age of 19 to the age of 22, I went and did a job called TAC-P, where you control fast movers behind enemy lines. Cool job, but there's no water. I was afraid of the water, so I avoided it. And I gained 125 pounds in that time frame. I went from 175 to almost 300, to 297 was my heaviest. And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. And so to overcome all this, my bright idea was to try to become the one thing I was afraid of, a Navy SEAL. That day, I started calling recruiters up. And for 2 weeks, this happened. This recruiter laughed at me, that recruiter laughed at me, this recruiter said, there's no way. So I finally met a guy named Steven Saljo. I called him on the phone after about 2 weeks of just hunting down recruiters. And he was a Navy reservist recruiter. So I called him up, I said, hey, I want to be a Navy SEAL. He was busy. So he didn't know how big I was. He didn't know anything about me pretty much. So I came in, and he was the first recruiter that looked at me and was like, so he brought me back to a scale, and I remember looking in front of me was a height weight chart. For me, I'm 6'1". I could only weigh 191. I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. And I went home, and I started working out like somebody. I became the most obsessed person on the planet Earth. Well, there wasn't much of a diet, pretty much. It was like pretty much don't eat. And what I did was, I wake up in the morning time, I have a banana. So I knew to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months, you're looking at 3,500 calories is a pound. So I was basically doing a whole bunch of math in my head. So I knew if I were to stop and be stagnant, there was no calories being burned. So my mind became very obsessed. So if I like right now, I couldn't have this interview. I'd have to do it while riding a bike. So to watch TV, I rode a bike. Because, weighing 300 pounds, you can't go out and start running because your legs hurt real bad. So for the first 50 days, I rode a bike a lot. I went to the swimming pool a lot. I did high repetitions. So people go, why don't I have like a lot of fat, like excess skin on my body? I developed a certain routine that my skin got, extremely tight. So I would do 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 reps on one exercise at a time. So I would go to the gym. I would see a weight I could do for like, let's say it was like 60 pounds on the bar. So the bar is 45, and I put like maybe 10 pounds on each side. And I would rep that out for like 100 times. And I'd do a few sets of that. And that's how I would train. So I just basically trained all day long. And I lost the weight. I lost the weight, and I went back to recruiter. I got into that class, and I went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. Only guy to ever be in 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year, to my knowledge. The first one I didn't make it through. The next 2 I did. And that I just didn't. I didn't stop anymore from there. I started realizing that the mind is the most powerful weapon that we have. Once I was able to quiet my mind and realize that I was really not cursed but blessed to have so many tools that I never saw as tools. While growing up, so much hardship. Only thing that can happen to me now is this victory.